There's a post from BBC which says President Macron warns he will hassle France is unjabbed. And it's interesting. The BBC says he will hassle France is unjabbed. Other translations are saying his goal is to piss off the jab-free. Let's call him the jab-free. Anyway, whichever way you translate it, I don't really think it makes much of a difference. The context is still there. That is that Macron is his goal is to make life extremely difficult to the point of angering the people of France who have not taken the jab. That's the strategy. Make life uncomfortable, make life into a hassle, make them pissed off so that they submit. That's pretty much what he was saying in this interview. BNO Newsroom says French President Macron, and I quote, this is from the article, quote, the jab-free, let's call him jab-free, the jab-free, I really want to piss them off. And so we're going to continue doing so until the end. That's the strategy. Until the end. That is the strategy. Interesting words, until the end. What is that end? Be interesting to find out what the end means. French President Macron, another quote, I won't send the jab-free to prison. I won't jab them by force. So we need to tell them, from January 15, you won't be able to go to the restaurant. You won't be able to down one, go for a coffee, go to the theater, go to the movies. I guess he means down a beer or something like that. Basically, he's just saying he's not going to go the way of Austria yet, which is compulsory. So he's not going to do that, though I wouldn't put it past him. And he's not going to put the jab-free in hotels which have been refurbished as camps or in actual camps that have been built in the countryside, like what you see in Australia or like what you've seen in Canada. So he says he's not going to go that route either. So his strategy is to just drive the jab-free crazy. Pretty much lock them up in their homes is basically what he's aiming to do, because he's saying you won't be able to go to restaurants, you won't be able to go to bars, you won't be able to go for coffees, no theaters, no movies, nothing. So you're going to be a prisoner in your home. That's pretty much his strategy there. In other words, instead of building a prison, he's just going to make their home into a prison. Marine Le Pen came out with a statement here. You can see the statement in French, but in English, the translation is, a president shouldn't say that. The guarantor of the unity of the nation persists in dividing it and assumes that he wants to make the jab-free second-class citizens. Emmanuel Macron is unworthy of his office. In April, I will be the president of all French people. That's from Marine Le Pen. From Jean-Luc Mélenchon, he says, astonishing admission of Macron. It is clear the jab pass, is a collective punishment against individual freedom. And from Eric Zemmour, another presidential candidate, presidential hopeful, Emmanuel Macron does say, quote, I want to piss off. This is not just the cynical statement of a politician who wants to exist in the presidential campaign. It is the admitted, accepted cruelty that parades in front of this despised French people. That is from Eric Zemmour. Now, this is a nice photo. This is a real interesting photo from the World Economic Forum. This was tweeted out by Disclose.tv, which says Emmanuel Macron denounced France's 5 million jab-free as non-citizens and vows, quote, I really want to piss them off. And so we will continue to do so to the bitter end. That's the strategy. That is the quote translated from Le Parisien, to the bitter end. And here's another take on that World Economic Forum photo. Macron is, obviously he's asserting his globalist leadership there, but he looks more like that. Or maybe he looks more like that. Little horns and little devil's beard. Beamy eyes there. And of course, no photo from the World Economic Forum would be complete if you didn't see Macron with the architect of the Build Back Better Great Reset, none other than Mr. Klaus Schwab. Let them eat cake, yes. Let them eat cake. I saw that in one of the social media posts. That seems to be the attitude of President Macron. from Dr. David Samadi. French President Macron just called France's 5 million jab-free citizens non-citizens and stated, I really want to piss them off, and so we will continue to do so to the bitter end. That's the strategy. Governments are getting bolder every day with this rhetoric. Exactly. Paul Joseph Watson said, Macron's comments are completely beyond the pale. Really vile stuff. In a just world, his election hopes would now be toast. The key phrase there is, in a just world, his election hopes would be toast. Macron apparently skipped the part of history where the French ruler pissed off the French people. That's from Parisien. Crank. Yeah, it looks like he may have skipped that part, or he just may believe that history doesn't apply to him. France is not a democracy anymore. I have a feeling that the voting machines still like him. And yeah, that's I think a lot of people have that sentiment that Macron is now saying the quiet part out loud, not afraid of the elections that are coming in September, because he feels like things are going to somehow tilt his way. Maybe it's time for the yellow vests. Maybe it is yellow vest time. Again, the yellow vests haven't really stopped. It's just with all of this craziness with the coup, things have kind of, been a little bit inconsistent as far as the yellow vest protests. But protests are taking place in France pretty much every weekend against the passports and the digital IDs and stuff like that. Sadly, we live in a clown world and he will be reelected. That's what this post from Medic Man says. That is the fear. That is the fear, that he will be reelected. No doubt we're living in a clown world. And both extremes of the political divide seem to agree on this one. That is true. It does seem that whether you're right, left, even in the middle, if you're in power, you seem to be in agreement that digital IDs are the way to go. That's where they want to take us. Doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you're on. We are looking at some sort of social credit system that is trying to be forced upon us. He wants to piss them off. And I thought taking away civil rights is something you need to do just in an emergency situation and for a limited time. Exactly. That's a post from Ariel Azriel. And yeah, 2 years ago, it was, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was it. And now look where we are. Macron is just saying the quiet part out loud. That's all he's doing. Regardless of your stance on jabs, this is scary. This is a much broader issue. Governments are acting like dictatorships. Jabs are jab-free. You should be concerned when elected leaders talk like that. The whole world should be concerned when a globalist like Macron talks in this way. And he's not worried about the fact that he's talking in this way. He's not saying this diplomatically. He's not, mincing his words. He's pretty much just coming out and saying what he wants to do and what should be done. And, if one globalist is thinking like this, well, I'm sure the whole lot of them are also thinking like this. I read his comments. At one point he said, I won't send jab-free people to prison. Kind of makes me think he wishes he could, though. Frightening. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt he wishes he could exert his power and just send people away to prison. All the quiet things are being said out loud. Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying here. He's just saying the quiet parts out loud. He's just saying what all the other despots have been saying. Amazing that they are all from the same side of the aisle and have absolutely no fear of retribution or consequences whatsoever. He has an election coming up in less than a year, and he's saying these things, and it doesn't worry him. It just doesn't worry him at all. He feels that there will be no electoral repercussions for what he's saying. Maybe he's actually of the mindset that this will help him get reelected. I don't know, statements like this will help him get into office. Who knows? We'll find out in September. He'll get the promotion. He speaks for his bosses. Yeah, exactly. Maybe Macron understands all of this, that if he says these words out loud, he's going to please his bosses, and these are the words that his bosses want them to say out loud. They're not hiding it anymore. Perhaps they realize that they can't hide it anymore, so if you can't hide it, you might as well just say it. They're all saying this vile shat. That's what they're all saying exactly. Here you have a picture of Trudeau, a kind of meme of Trudeau, and a statement from Trudeau. And this is reinforcing the point that they're all in the same club. This is what Trudeau said in this quote. Justin Trudeau on 29th of December 2021, according to the Western Standard. We are going to end this pandemic by proceeding with jabs. There is still a part of the population fiercely against it. They don't believe in science or progress and are very often hating women, and they are the R word. They take up some space. This leads us as a leader and as a country to make a choice. Do we tolerate these people? I actually I think I did a video on this exact quote. I'm not sure if this was the interview in Quebec or if he said this quote before the interview in Quebec, but he did say pretty much the same thing on TV when he was being interviewed in Quebec in French. He pretty much said the exact same thing that he's saying here in this quote. And in Germany, you have the same kind of thing going on. In the German city of Hamburg, people who have taken the jab twice will no longer be allowed to eat in restaurants without also taking tests. And only the triple jabbed will be allowed to enter restaurants without having to take a test. So getting 2 jabs is no longer enough in Hamburg. And this post, this is actually 2 posts that I'm going to show you here. And this person is saying, I agree, Macron is evil. He is a socialist devil. But what is the difference between what Macron said and what Boris said this afternoon? And here's a screenshot from a tweet as to what Boris Johnson said in the UK. When we propose to change the definition of a jab certification, we will be sure to give people plenty of time and plenty of opportunity. So Boris Johnson is making a statement where he's also going to be done with the two jab certification, and now the goalposts have moved to 3. And the same poster said, it's the same thing, but Boris was more politically correct. Both are disgraceful. So basically this person is saying that there is no difference between what Boris Johnson is saying and what Macron is saying. Boris Johnson is just being a little more diplomatic in his use of the words. Boris Johnson said to travel to some countries, you need a booster to be considered fully vaccinated. And it's likely within weeks this will become the norm. He is quite clearly about to remove the jab pass, the COOF pass, from millions who have gotten the jab twice if they do not get the booster. That's generally Boris Johnson has announced or is about to announce that what it means to be fully jabbed is now 3, not 2. And that renders everybody that got the 2, that renders them into the category of jab-free, I guess. 2 jabs now means 0 jabs in essence. You have to get 3 now in order to live your life. No difference between Boris, Trudeau, and Macron. They're all speaking in a different tone, but they're all pretty much saying the same thing. To be fair, as I was, going through and looking at all the social media posts with Macron's quotes from Le Parisien, there are quite a few people, especially on Twitter, and I pulled posts from Twitter, from Getter, Gab, to put this together, as well as articles from publications. On Twitter, there were quite a few people who see no problem with this. And that's what this post is saying. Some people see no issue with this. They see no problem with what Macron said. Here are some examples. Stop the insanity at Hillary for POTUS. Okay, so you can kind of see where this post is going to be leaning towards. They say Macron is 100% right. His country's health, safety, and welfare are his priority. And another post here says Macron is awesome, and hating on him won't change that. He's awesome. And another post says, thank you, President Macron. Here's to another 5 years. So there are people that are supporting this. There really are people that do support the words that Macron has expressed in this interview with Le Parisien. Here's a meme, a quote, a meme which says, historically, the most terrible things, war, genocide, slavery, have resulted not from disobedience, but from obedience. Howard Zinn. Have resulted from the most terrible things, have resulted not from disobedience, but from obedience.